I know why it's going to be able to hear this. So
that's right.
Let's just trash him the whole show.
All right, we're gonna have to put an edit point here, Wyatt.
Dad's home.
Hi, Dad.
Lord of the manor, king of the castle.
Well, that seems appropriate.
I am a dad.
We are dads.
We are many. We are one. We are the Legion of Dads. The Legion.
Dads.
Hello.
We are the Legion of Dads.
Join us.
The Legion of Dads.
An entire legion.
Great, Dad.
We are the Legion of Dads.
Daddy-o.
From now on, we'll be known as the Legion.
So we are many.
We acknowledge this is an appropriate metaphor. We are Legion.
We are the Legion of Dads.
You are not alone. We are all in this together now.
Hello and welcome to the Legion of Dads, a show for the modern dad. We talk about movies, comics, video games, and just how to be a great dad. We're switching it up this week. Wyatt's out of town, so I'm filling in as your host. With me, as always, is my co-host, father of two, Kenneth Dupuy. How's it going, Kenneth?
I'm doing well, Richard. How are you?
We're hanging in there, man. Kenneth and I, we're both located in Texas, and we're kind of riding out the Hurricane Harvey right now. So
the remnants.
Yeah, the remnants of Hurricane Harvey. We're close enough to feel the after effects, and we're seeing a lot of flooding, and it's kind of touch and go each hour just to see how everything's going. But so far, we're doing all right. I mean, our thoughts and prayers are going out for all those affected.
Definitely.
In Houston, I've got some family that's got standing water and no power in their house. So it's pretty bad out there.
And we should be seeing some more here in our area as far as rainfall. And I know areas around Houston are too. So definitely keeping those people in our thoughts and prayers.
That's right. Hopefully we can finish this show before the power goes out.
Yo!
Oh, all right. So getting the show started, let's lead off with the news. The first thing I want to talk about this week is, of course, the SNESwatch.
Boom.
Yeah. So this week has been a big week. This has been one of the weeks we've been waiting for, infamously in our SNES Classic Watch.
And we wish we could wait for it again.
And we will. This week, unknown to few, on Tuesday, the SNES Classic went on pre-order at certain websites. And early in the morning at 2 o'clock-ish, and about 20 minutes later, they were sold out. And then again at 4 o'clock, and then they were gone again. Nobody knew about it. We were all asleep, and it's just, and that was just the beginning. You wake up Tuesday morning, you find that here we go again, that like the nightmare has begun. And not only have the pre-orders sold out, something that they should be able to plan ahead for, something that they said they were going to be able to plan ahead for, the pre-orders sell out, and then GameStop is got line out the door. Like I've got a job, man. I'm not one of these college kids that can just duck out of class and go pick up an SNES Classic. So by the time I can even react to this, it's too late. I'm looking at GameStop.com. The website's down. Like the best I can do on Tuesday is order from ThinkGeek, which I'm really considering, although they're bundling it, this $80 item with $120 worth of just crap. I mean, cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love some Zelda. I love some Mega Man. But if that's what it's going to take for me to buy an SNES Classic, then maybe that's what I got to do. Otherwise, I'm going to be in the same boat I was last time with the rest of us chumps trying to buy a Nintendo
on
item.
Release day.
Yeah, on release day. And like I said, man, I've got a job. I can't just take a day off work and camp out overnight. Like it's.
Well, let's run down the list.
Yeah.
Amazon Pre-orders sold out, although they have been sending some emails to those people who did pre-order and saying you may not receive it on release day, but your pre-order will be honored.
I signed up for
the alert, never got one.
Yeah, haven't seen anything.
Best Buy sold out.
Nightmare.
GameStop sold out. Think Geek, which is also, I believe, owned by GameStop now, or could be wrong. But I think
one or the other.
Yeah, sold out. Okay, Target sold out. Now, I did make it onto Target.com when it still showed that you could pre-order it, but when you hit pre-order, it would say item currently not in stock.
That's right.
Okay, so a couple other websites. B&H Photo, kind of like the store to go to if you're a prosumer or a professional in photography, videography.
Yeah, you wouldn't think for video games. Yeah.
Yeah, but they got it. However, it's not in stock right now. I don't think they've taken any pre-orders as of yet.
Well, so, they may be my shining light in all of this.
Yeah. Now, another website that's in the same boat as them is PlayAsia.com. And PlayAsia's kind of been one of those websites that, anime, and Japanese video game nerds like myself have been going to for years to buy all kinds of stuff that we couldn't get directly at local stores or even Amazon, something that was only coming out in Japan or something like that, or China or wherever. They are in the same boat. They have not currently started accepting pre-orders yet.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There may be a chance. Now, interesting enough, Toys R Us, who accepted pre-orders last year and is actually not accepting pre-orders at all this year. And I think they were one of the sites that was originally listed by Nintendo to be offering pre-orders, but I could be wrong about that. But I just thought that was an interesting development. So for my money, I got a local Toys R Us around here. It could be day of release. I'm standing in line at Toys R Us trying to get one.
Yeah, here we go again. And I'm regretting making this a recurring segment on our show because it's just bumming me out, man. I'm like just reviewing this for the show. It's bringing up all this deep-seated. Hey, I mean, just here we go again. I'm going to end up.
The funny thing is look, I'm one of the lucky ones that got an NES Classic.
You son of a bitch.
Now, I didn't go out and actively try to get it. I always told myself,
you son of a bitch.
It would be cool to get one, but I'm not crazy about it. I ended up getting one for Christmas because my sister-in-law wanted one for her kids, and she went and stood in line for like 6 hours overnight at a retail shop and was able to buy two.
Wow, good for her.
And so my wife was like, get one for Kenneth because he wants one. Now, on the other hand, I want this NES Classic more than I ever want. I mean, I want this SNES Classic more than I ever wanted the NES Classic.
Wow.
It's got the games that like I want to play. My wife wants to play more games on this than she did on the NES Classic. We want to play more games together. We are pumped about this. We want to play Donkey Kong Country together. We are excited about this. We want to play Mario Kart. We want to revisit some of our childhood with this thing. So we're both trying to just catch it when we can catch it.
Well, right now, it looks like if things continue to go as they have before, the best way to do that is to go to your local resale shop and pick up a Super Nintendo and some Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
And do it the old school way.
I don't know, man. I'm not above this time. I'm really not above. I think after everything's said and done, if I can't get my hands on one by Christmas, just getting on eBay and paying a price gouge for one. I think to me, this is worth it more.
To me, the reason that I haven't done that is because I just can't justify buying a modern or not even like when modern consoles are 200
for the same price as a current modern
are $250. You know, you've got the Xbox or the Xbox One, Xbox One S, PS4, the Switch. Like, meanwhile, I'm buying something from 30 years ago at 16 bits, 32 bits for the same price. Like,
yeah,
man, I can't justify that.
Nintendo, if you're listening,
and
please do something about this situation, whether it's open more pre-orders or make sure they're in stock through Christmas.
And I'll tell you what, man, I am a Nintendo fanboy. I always have been up until last generation because of Blu-ray primarily. When I got it for Christmas. I got a PS3. I had been solely Nintendo. I was Nintendo all the way. Man, this is really undoing some love from me. Like I'm really, it's making me bitter. And
yeah, I can hear you. Well, Nintendo, if you're listening, please do something about the situation. Or I'm sure that Wyatt, Richard, and I would all be thankful and love to review the SNES Classic for this current holiday season.
Absolutely, we'll take your money. I'm already.
Or if there's a listener out there who wants to know what we think.
Absolutely. Well, Kenneth, what do you have for us this week?
Well, you know, I'm just gonna kind of lump a few of these in together, but there's a lot of stuff going on this week with the DC Extended Universe, is what they call the DC movie universe.
It was a big week.
It's a big week. You know, and there's rumors flying left and right. I'm going to touch on a couple of them, but I'm going to just preface anything we talk about here and say that I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm not going to get I'm not going to get crushed by anything here because nothing is really official.
That's right. Don't count your chickens until they're hatched.
Most of this is reports or rumors or rumblings, as the movie community, the Hollywood calls it. So first off, there was some stuff going on about the standalone Batman film. Now, the director, Matt Reeves, came out and said on, I believe, Twitter that he didn't see the film as being part of the DC Extended Universe. Now, he later came out and said, well, of course it'll be part of the universe, but he just meant it'll be solely a Batman story, not a Batman Superman story or a story that's selling some other movie in the future. It'll be a story just about Batman, which I think that he is rightfully so in saying that it should just be about Batman.
Sure.
And I respect him for that. Then also some things came up that said, okay, now Ben Affleck's out.
Yeah. So, and that's what I was going to ask. So is this a Batfleck movie or is it not?
I think it is the same Batman. I don't know yet. Nothing's been confirmed, like official. So I think no one's really talking about the whole, is he in or out for sure? But I think on some of the rumors we're hearing is that he's not in it anymore. And the reason that they're giving for it is that because this is a standalone Batman film that takes place earlier in his career than we see him in Batman v Superman and Justice League, for example. So if you remember seeing, or if you've seen those movies, Batman is an older Batman. He's been Bruce Wayne for 10 years. No more Batman for like 10 years. So he's a little hardened and old and tired Batman, but he's still got a lot of spunk.
So this might be a prequel.
This might be, I hate to use that word, but it could be the same Batman, but a younger version of him. Now, I don't know why they just wouldn't use Ben Affleck and make him look a little younger. God knows why, but nothing's official. Okay, so moving on past Batman.
Well, and actually, before you move on, I read something real cool today that they are talking about potentially, and this kind of falls in the same category of maybe they'll do it, maybe it'll never see the light of day. But I think Kevin Conroy came out and said that if they do a Batman Beyond movie, he wouldn't be, he'd be willing to play Batman.
Okay.
Yeah, he'd be old Bruce Wayne in a Batman Beyond movie.
I think that could work.
That'd be real cool to see Batman who sounds like Batman that we all grew up with.
Yeah. Or you could get someone like Michael Keaton back.
Absolutely, yeah,
Okay, so moving beyond just Batman, they also released, there's some rumors going around that there is a new Joker film spinoff in the works, supposedly being directed by Todd Phillips from Hangover and Old School fame, but interesting enough, being produced by Martin Scorsese. Now, I don't know how much involvement Scorsese is going to have, if he's just getting a producer credit because he hooked some people up together or he helped the script get into someone's hands, or if he's actually going to be an active producer on it and have some creative choices or some say in anything. But I think that there was a later clarification that could this be the Joker that we've seen in Suicide Squad, Jared Leto? Well, some further clarification came out and said that this could be a different Joker.
Another Joker,
or a younger Joker, just like Ben Affleck's Batman.
Another prequel.
But they're treating it as a spin-off, kind of intended to be, and I quote, intended to be a one-shot standalone story featuring characters from the DC Comics. So they're looking at, and I think this is an interesting idea. Marvel really changed the mold in how people think about comic book movies. Now they want all their comic book movies. It's like, okay, great. I can watch this comic book movie with this superhero, this villain. That's great. It was good. But how is it connected to this other movie that's coming out? And I think that that's a big trend in Hollywood now, shared universe.
Yeah, universe building. Absolutely.
So I think that, I don't know, I think this could be interesting that you look at all the DC comics over the years, there's this version of Batman, this version of Joker, all these different versions told by different artists, different writers, throughout the years. Some of them are spin-offs, some of them are what they call a one-shot, that is just this version of this character for one issue, or a extra long issue, or a run of 4 issues. So this could be leading to where, okay, we have this version of the Joker for this movie. Just kind of like, those DC animated films are coming out.
Yeah, like The Killing Joke. That's the one thing that I like about this, and the one thing that I like specifically about the Joker, is that his origin, at least to me, as somewhat of a, I know a little bit about the DC universe, but yeah. I don't know everything. But to me, his origin is so enigmatic. Like, you could do anything. You could tell any story you wanted. It could be Jack Napier, or it could be the Red Hood. You could do, or it could be,
right now there's a comic out where there's a role reversal where Batman is the villain and Joker's the hero, and he's actually Jack Napier.
Oh wow,
is the Joker's real name? I forget who's writing it right now, but there's all these different versions of these beloved characters out there.
And I think that's cool that I guess we're so far along in the superhero universes that now we can kind of start telling these else worlds, these what if stories.
Yeah.
There's something cool there, but
yeah. I think it's a push towards bringing the comic book mentality to superhero movies, if they're doing it this way.
Yeah.
Which means we could have a standalone Batman movie that's this person playing Batman, a standalone Batman movie over here that's this person playing Batman. It opens the door for different types of castings.
And definitely more money.
Yes. So after this news broke, then this got people wondering, well, where does that leave? If the Joker's in this, where does that leave movies like Suicide Squad 2 or Gotham City Sirens, which was supposed to be a movie with Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy,
and David Ayer directed, right?
Or supposed to be. Where did that leave that? So what ended up happening now is that they possibly announced that another movie is coming out called, or a story that's about Joker and the Harley Quinn that will be starring Margot Robbie and Jared Leto.
Yeah, the ones we're familiar with from Suicide Squad.
So that begs to differ. I think it hasn't really been specifically cleared up at this point if that's a separate movie, if it's Gotham City Sirens is kind of taken its own thing on, and it's a little confusing. So I also think it's reaffirmed that, hey, we're not abandoning the characters we've already created in Suicide Squad, those versions. But then later on during the week, they did come out and say, okay, yeah, Gotham City Sirens is still in development at DC.
Huh.
And development can mean a lot of things.
That's right. That's right. It's not dead, or is it?
And typically, I think the Sirens they're going for are Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and Poison Ivy. And this stuff's all over the place. I really think is that they got their fingers in a lot here. They have, Warner Brothers with DC has a lot of characters out that are potential moneymakers.
And there's a lot of good stories that have been told.
Oh, absolutely.
In the comics. So I guess they're trying to, get some of that onto the screen.
So let me just run you guys real quick before we move off the DCEU. A real quick slate on where we at with the DCEU on kind of what's been announced and what we've heard as rumors. First, we got Justice League that's coming out this November.
I can't believe that's right around the corner.
Now, at one time, there was also a sequel, Justice League Part 2, announced for 2019. There's been a little word on this. Now, also coming out is Aquaman, starring... what's his name? It's directed by James Wan.
Carl Drago.
Carl Drogo.
Carl Drogo, sorry.
Okay, which I think could be a pretty cool film. I love the casting. I think it puts hopefully some some power back into the name of Aquaman. So I'm actually excited to see where it goes.
Jason Momoa, and I'm interested to see him in Justice League. I mean, really get a taste for him, and then see where they can go from there.
Hopefully he doesn't look like he's holding his breath the whole time. He's underwater like he did in Batman v Superman. But I think that's really good casting. So cool on you, DC. Okay, also coming out is Shazam.
Yeah, speaking of good casting that they haven't followed through on.
Yeah, Shazam and now a Black Adam movie because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has been rumored forever to be intertwined with Shazam, and at one point it was like, who do you want to play? Do you want to play Captain Marvel? Do you want to play Black Adam? And I think he chose to play Black Adam as sort of the anti-hero. Well, now David F. Sandberg is the director on Shazam, who just recently did Annabelle Creation, and he's been quoted as coming out and saying, okay, no, Black Adam is going to be a whole different movie.
Yeah,
So that's two more.
Until I see a lineup, like right now, it just feels like they're shotgun blasting things at the wall.
Yeah. Wonder Woman 2.
Right.
This is one that is set.
That is legit.
It's got a release date. This Wonder Woman made tons of money.
It was a huge success.
They made tons of money. I think it was a fun film. It's got its highs. It's got its lows. It's not perfect, but none of these movies are perfect. Patty Jenkins back as director, which I think is a good thing. I think she, got her feet wet and really dug her heels, to use 2-foot metaphors, into this character. So bring her back, let her get her hands dirty some more with it. Now, also one that was originally announced way back, still on the lineup, is a movie for Cyborg, who was originally a member of the Teen Titans in the comic.
And he's a member of both teams.
Yeah. So he's going to be in Justice League. So I guess depending on how his character is received. Okay, coming up after that, Green Lantern Corps. Now this could possibly have been rumored to be Hal Jordan and John Stewart. Could be completely set on Oa with a bunch of the lanterns from both Earth and all the other regions that the lanterns protect. Now that is set for July 2020. And David S. Goyer is writing the script. So we'll see. David S. Goyer is pretty hit and miss.
Yeah.
So we'll see where this goes. Also on the slate, Justice League Dark, which just also had some news this week that they're getting a new script written or already had a new script written.
So this will be a true live action movie and not just an animated.
Yeah, there was an animated Justice League Dark, but this is supposed to be a true live action with John Constantine, Swamp Thing, Deadman, Zatanna, and Etrigan the Demon, whoever else they'd conjure up in that film. Which I think I had a lot of fun with that animated one.
Oh, you did? And is Guillermo del Toro attached to this, or am I wrong?
He was originally announced to direct in 2013.
Okay.
And then he got this guy's got his hand. Guillermo del Toro.
He's doing a lot. Yeah.
He does TV. He writes, movies. He's producing this and that. So I think that he backed off on it because he knew he wasn't going to be able to give it its due. And then he stayed on as a producer for a little while. Then it went over to Doug Liman, who was originally slated to direct Gambit for Fox, but he left that to do Justice League Dark. Now he's left.
Speaking of a movie in development hell.
Yeah. Okay, so also on the DC list, Flashpoint. Now this movie's been this is the Flash movie.
I was going to say, is this separate from the Flash or
no? It's what they're calling the Flash now.
Okay.
It's going to be hopefully be based on the Flashpoint storyline, which was a big storyline in the comics, where Flash did some time traveling stuff, ended up going back in time, changing something, and
messed everything up.
Came back to his current time, and everything was different. One significant change, for example, is that Bruce Wayne was no longer Batman, and in the Flashpoint world, he's actually dead, and his dad, Thomas Wayne, is Batman.
Yeah.
Which, if you look at who played Thomas Wayne in Batman v Superman,
the comedian.
Was the comedian from Watchmen. I think that's perfect casting for a Thomas Wayne evil Batman. Not evil, but he's super gritty. He uses guns. He's really brutal.
Yeah, brutal. No doubt.
But that film has gone through a whole load of directors. Originally was Seth Grahame-Smith, who was originally hired to write and direct it. Then he left in 2016. And before him, Phil Lord and Chris Miller were brought on.
Those guys.
And they ended up leaving the film to do the Han Solo picture, which they ended up getting
the boot,
or however you want to say it. Then they hired another guy who directed Dope. I'm probably going to butcher his last name. Rick Famuyiwa. I can't really say it. Sorry.
I'll take it. Sounds good. Go with it.
Sorry, Rick. He ended up leaving for creative differences.
Ugh.
There has been some casting for the Flash film, mostly because those characters, I think, pop up in Justice League, like Iris Allen or Iris West and the Flash's dad. So I don't know if they're going to pop up in Justice League for sure, but they were cast. And I believe Billy Crudup was cast as his dad.
Man, we're getting all sorts of Watchmen alumni in this movie.
Yeah. So then the next one, I'm not done yet.
Well, and before you move on from that, because the one thing I want to say about Flashpoint is that Flashpoint rebooted the entire DC universe and started the new 52. And to me, when I saw they named the Flash movie Flashpoint, it seems like they are they're leaving the door open in case everything goes sideways.
Yeah, they can reboot
everything. Just
that's
like
what the comics did.
Yeah, but just like with an Infinity Gauntlet, they can reboot everything, get new actors in, and go a different direction if all of this doesn't work out. Which, I mean, right now, honestly, DC, like, you have a lot against you. I mean, you got to nail some of this stuff down and get these movies going. Because, I mean, Marvel's pumping these movies out like 3 a year, not including Fox and Sony.
Well, Marvel hasn't always had its great successes, but I think what they did is
they've done good enough.
They found where they were successful and how, in some terms it's cookie cutter a little bit in terms of how they produce them.
It can be Ant-Man and
but I think that they found the right space to work in and didn't get their feet too far ahead.
Yeah.
They said, okay, we're going to do this, and if this is successful, here are a couple avenues we can go. And I feel like DC's been trying to play catch up.
Well, they're playing catch up and reverse engineering. Like,
yes, but something that is new to them, and I think is a step in and shows a direction that, well, I don't know if it's from Jeff Johns or someone up in DC, is this mention of standalones and one-off stories. I think that is an interesting direction, and I think that shows some kind of creative direction happening there. And like I said, we don't know how much what is official and what's not. A lot of this is rumors. A lot of this is this person said this in an interview. This person said this in an interview. So until you see a trailer,
that's right, no doubt.
You don't know what's going to happen.
And worst case scenario, just flashpoint and reboot the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. So also on the table, we're still going. There's still quite a few.
We're not done yet.
The Batman, which we talked about on this show, could be Affleck, could be a younger Batman, but it is going to be directed by Matt Reeves, who just most recently directed War of the Planet of the Apes.
Ooh.
Which I think he's a good choice. He's really focused on character.
Get Andy Serkis in there.
Hey, who knows? Okay, so after that, if you remember this summer, Joss Whedon was announced to be writing and directing a Batgirl movie.
Oh, that's right.
We haven't heard anything else on that. I think he's preoccupied directing the Justice League reshoots, which are common in big blockbuster movies. No big blockbuster movie in the last 15 years hasn't had, whether it's 1 day or 2 weeks of reshoots.
That's true, although this one has a bit of a backstory to it with Zack Snyder having to step down due to family issues.
Now I don't know how much of that is so much. I was talking just in reference to that the reshoots were happening, period.
Exactly.
But because he had to step down, Joss Whedon was brought in to kind of direct those and continue on the vision, as it's been quoted in the media, of Zack Snyder. And then clean a few things. Now, I think he was brought on to write a couple of scenes for that.
To lighten it up?
I don't know if to lighten it up, but he was brought on as the writer for those reshoot scenes before he was ever picked to handle the direction when Zack Snyder decided he was leaving the project.
And what's great about Joss Whedon is not only his history in superhero films, Avengers, of course, Avengers 2, but also he's got a history in comic books, and he knows how to handle those characters long before he was involved in the Avengers.
Well, I like to think Joss Whedon is one of us. He loves these characters. He grew up reading comics. He has a real love for these characters and what they mean beyond this, the cape and cowl.
Well, and I'd love to see his influence on a Justice League where perhaps character doesn't take a backseat to style and flash. That maybe there's more substance.
There's no question that Zack Snyder has style. I mean,
he has style, but sometimes it's too much. It overpowers the story.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I think it would be great. I mean, one of the great things about the Avengers that Joss Whedon really brought to it is just a scene where we're all standing around talking and you were like, these characters do not like each other. How are they going to work together? And I don't think that the Justice League is necessarily going to be that way, but what it showed is that he understands each character and he's not just writing dialogue for dialogue's sake.
And with his previous TV shows, he knows how to work with, an ensemble.
Not only that, he also has a penchant for strong female characters. You look at Buffy, you look at Firefly, Dollhouse. So I'm really excited to see mainly what he does with this Batgirl.
Exactly.
I think could be really cool.
They've got a lot of ground to make up with that Killing Joke animated movie.
Yeah. Now, moving past that, there's also been some announcement for a Nightwing movie. Now, this would follow Dick Grayson in his post-Robin identity. It is been announced that Chris McKay, who most recently directed Lego Batman, has been hired to direct.
Huh.
So I don't think that there's any other news beyond that, but I think it could be interesting to see a Nightwing movie. I've always loved the character of Robin and in all of his different forms, whether it's Jason Todd, Tim Drake, or Dick Grayson, all these other ones. And Nightwing was always an extension of that. So I think it will be interesting to see where this version of the character fits into the current world of the DCEU, or is it, his own little spinoff? Do we get a different Batman in that? I think that could be a place for that if they were, you know, in this one-off or standalone side of things. Okay, so a couple other movies that are still rumored but haven't been officially announced. Most of these other movies have been in some way officially announced, whether, yes, we have this guy writing a script or we've set a date for it. Now, some of these ones I'm coming up here on the list, I don't think have any of those, but have been mentioned as possibly being happening, whether so-and-so heard a rumor that someone was writing, but nothing official, which is a movie about Lobo and Deadshot.
Together?
Huh. Kind of getting a Suicide Squad spin-off style movie.
Well, that's, that sounds like a Deadpool Cable.
Yeah. I'm also going to just push through a couple of these.
Go ahead.
Suicide Squad 2, which
not David
doesn't
Ayer.
Doesn't have a lot of news behind it. No longer David Ayer, I don't think. Obviously, we already talked about the Joker movie that could be coming out, and the Joker Harley Quinn movie, and Gotham Sirens. Whether those are two separate movies or one and the same, we'll find out hopefully soon. So that's the giant list of DCEU movies. Blah.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see what actually makes it to screen. I mean, until they get a release date, it may just be in production limbo.
It feels like this week's news stories about this really spurred the internet on to have a lot of discussion about this universe. And, it's almost as much stuff that came out like at Comic-Con this summer. Only thing different is we had a trailer. So I am looking forward to, I'm not going to lie, I'm looking forward to each and every one of these movies. Whether they're good or not, or whether I like them after I see them is a different story. But I'm looking for, I want to see an Aquaman movie. I want to see a Cyborg movie. I want to see Flashpoint. I want to see all these ones we've talked about. Just kind of depends on how they handle them.
Absolutely.
We'll see how it goes from there. What else you got?
Well, hey, earlier you mentioned Wonder Woman, and that reminded me that they had, for Wonder Woman, some theaters had a women's only screening of the movie.
Yeah. I don't know. There was a couple of misogynists that were really upset about that.
So in the same vein, Alamo Drafthouse is doing a clown only showing for your favorite movie, It.
Now, hey, I am looking forward to that movie.
You do look forward to it, but now you can actually go and sit in an audience.
No, I don't.
Surrounded by clowns.
No, I do not want to do that. I have a healthy fear of clowns. It's
a healthy fear of clowns.
I am actually a big Stephen King fan though too, and I think that kind of it does a good job of kind of riding the line between both of those for me, both equally terrifying and interesting. So I'm really looking forward to the film. Now this is at Alamo Drafthouse, and I don't know if it's going to be at all their theaters or just their like Hallmark one in Austin, Texas.
Exactly.
Which is, I think, where the women's only was. That was Alamo 2, I believe. I would be terrified. First off, I'm going to be terrified watching the movie. But to watch it in a theater as a clown, and of course, I would have to be dressed up as a clown to even be in it.
You have to don the... We have to do this. We have to go and travel to Austin and do this.
And hopefully they're not just doing like, no half-assing it. You painting your face. You can't just put on a rainbow wig and some big shoes.
No rubber, no red noses. You need to go full on.
Yeah. No Walgreens red nose day.
That's right.
You've got to do it full on or get out.
Well, Kenneth, what do you have this week?
Okay, one of the other things that I caught my eye this week, just a real quick little thing, was that one of our most favorite directors, M. Night Shyamalan.
Ooh, what a twist.
Who most recently directed Split with James McAvoy, which I actually enjoyed.
It was it was interesting. It was good. His recent stuff lately has been good because, well, for the most part, the premise takes place in like a real world scenario. Like, I don't know if you saw the one with the old people. But
The one with the old people.
yeah, there was one with the old people.
No.
Okay.
Oh, now, yeah, I think he produced or wrote that one. No, I didn't see that one,
And-
but I saw the trailer and it looked terrifying.
And it was real creepy because it was like, what if old people went crazy?
Yeah.
and-
Are they not already?
And Split, for the most part, is, what if you get kidnapped by a schizophrenic? But then it goes from there. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I think some of his strongest movies are the ones where kind of hopefully there's a great balance of premise and character. Sometimes when he has the premise take over the story too much, they're lackluster. And then when you have the characters be so, I'd say that like some of the characters that he has in some of the films that are less successful are a little out of this world, literally. So I think that Split, I think that's a good high point in his career. And especially for, I believe, how much money it made and how much it costed to make the film. But as it was, spoiler alert, as it was revealed in the last seconds of the film itself, it takes place in a shared universe.
Oh, that's right. I just put together what we're about to talk about.
Now, at the end of Split, for those of you who haven't seen it, it is Turn Away Now. But it is revealed that Bruce Willis's character, David Dunn, from Unbreakable, which is almost like 14 years old or something now, is in a coffee shop or having some pie, watching a news story about what's just happened in the film Split. So these two characters exist in the same world. So shortly thereafter, he announced, M. Night Shyamalan, that he was making a third film in this shared universe called Glass. Now, this film is to be centered on Samuel L. Jackson's character, Mr. Glass from Unbreakable. And it is going to be involving James McAvoy's character, the Beast, and David Dunn's character from Unbreakable in some way. But here's the synopsis, quick read. Following the conclusion of Split, Glass finds Dunn, who's Bruce Willis's character, pursuing Crumb's superhuman figure of the Beast in a series of escalating encounters, while the shadowy presence of Price emerges as an orchestrator who holds secrets critical to both men. Now, Price is actually Elijah Price. That is Samuel L. Jackson's character from Unbreakable, Mr. Glass. This film is going to be called Glass, so you'll have Unbreakable, Split, and Glass.
Cool.
So I'm excited about this film. I always loved Unbreakable. I had a grand good time with Split. I like all these actors. James McAvoy, Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis. I can't wait to see where this goes.
And if you haven't seen Split, I mean, James McAvoy does an outstanding job. I mean, handling like 14 different characters within one individual, and they all have a unique identity. I mean, that was what was stand out to me in that film, and to tie that with Unbreakable, and then to see that it's actually getting its own movie. I'm super excited. I loved Unbreakable. And Split was great. This is all looking up, M. Night Shyamalan, like I said, he's kind of working his way back for me.
I'd say the low point for me was
that's
The
right.
Last Airbender.
I'm going to have to agree with you. Now, I'm going to have to agree with you there. Only because I love the source material so much.
You're big on the cartoon.
Yeah, if I put that aside, I think the low point for me is The Happening. When I realized,
I wanted to like that movie. I loved the trailer.
About 5 minutes in, I was like, "Oh, it's the trees."
I love the trailer where the guy's like, "It's gonna get run over by the lawnmower." I was like, "Oh, this is great."
Well,
and then it was just,
and I think he probably makes really good trailers. Because I remember The Village. The Village was an amazing trailer.
Now I give Village mostly a pass because it's got some great actors in it.
I need to go back and watch it. I haven't seen it probably since it was in theaters.
Secondly, it was shot by Roger Deakins. And I will watch any movie.
You'll defend any movie with Roger Deakins.
Whether it's good or not, it's beautiful. One of his more recent ones that's really great is Prisoners. He's director of photography, directed by Denis Villeneuve.
Is that the one with Wolverine, Hubert Jackman?
Yes. Yeah, that's one of his newer ones. So check that out. But Roger Deakins, The Village for the win.
Well, that's cool. Well, hey, kind of on a similar note, if you dig kind of stories with a twist or maybe an alternate reality kind of worst case scenario, there is a series that originated on BBC called Black Mirror, and it is a series of stories that kind of takes technology to the limit. Like what if social media ran our lives? And
now it's kind of an anthology series like Twilight Zone.
Exactly. But it's set it's a modern day story. Well, it doesn't have to be, but it's definitely very modern. And the stories don't have to connect to each other, but sometimes they do. And anyways, it started on BBC and then Netflix took it over and they did season 3. Well, season 4's trailer got released this week and it looks like they're coming out with 6 new episodes for Black Mirror. And
man, Netflix is so meta though, because I watched the first episode of that Friends from College. And they pull up and it's got
Michael
Key. Yeah. And he pulls up to that, like one of his friends' house. He's like, oh, this looks like a house from Black Mirror or something. No. And I'm like, oh man, they're referencing their own shows in other shows.
So have you seen Black Mirror?
I have never seen an episode. I'm ashamed to say I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Well, I don't know about nothing but good things. It can be hit or miss. Some of the stories, like, especially if you start from the beginning, that first story is rough. It is.
Well, like I've never heard anybody been like, oh, it's crap. Don't watch it. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone talk about it like that. I want to watch it, but every time I turn on my TV, there's just so much either interminable dross that I find flicking through all the Netflix or Amazon or wherever, or it's just something that's just dark and ominous and real world and gritty. And so I ended up just gravitating towards something light and fun sometimes, or just going back to Game of Thrones. Which is the opposite.
That's quite a change.
But I want to watch. It's on my queue.
If you ever watch one, and I'll recommend one episode, even though I think it's an hour and a half long. It's really 3 stories in one episode. And the beauty is it's the Christmas episode. It's somewhere in season 2. I think it's the finale of season 2, and it's got a story with John Hamm in it. And what's great. It's an hour and a half. It's like 3 stories wrapped in one. So you can kind of get a taste for all of Black Mirror just by watching this one episode. Plus it's Christmas themed. So it's, as Christmas comes up, it's a great excuse to throw that episode on and watch it. It's the one episode I showed my wife and she was like immediately entranced, and we had to finish it all the way through. So it's definitely one I'd recommend.
Now, let me ask you this concerning Black Mirror before we move on. And as you mentioned, and I know too, that it was originally a series done in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Now,
do you know if that series is available also on Netflix? Or is it not?
Yes. Well, series 1 and 2 are on Netflix. Season 3, which is the Netflix, is on Netflix.
Okay, so series 1 and 2 is the original series made in the UK.
Exactly.
So Netflix took it over. It's in season 3, is what you're saying?
Exactly. Kind of.
Okay, because I was always confused.
Like Arrested Development. Like they did. Season, well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, and I'm sure some of the Black Mirror purists feel the same way, because it definitely feels different, but some of the stories are good. I mean, it's cool. So I'm excited to see it. It looks
John Hamm as Lex Luthor.
John Hamm is that episode is fantastic. So check it out. And the other thing I wanted to mention this week, and this is kind of a throwback to my college days. GTA Online is Rockstar, who makes the GTA, has announced that they're coming out with a Smugglers Run update. And the only reason I bring it up, because I'm actually not a big GTA fan. I know a lot of you guys out there are. I remember back in the day when we had to play GTA on a calculator in high school. I mean, if you can even imagine that. But I never.
Yeah, I remember the original where it was just a top.
When it was top down, yeah. Anyways, so what makes me bring this up this week is that a game that I played in college, Smugglers Run, which was also made by Rockstar. We used to play this on the GameCube, maybe the Wii.
Oh wow, this is what this is.
I really enjoyed this game. Where it was vehicles.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a vehicle game where you have to pick up a package or drop off a package. And so Rockstar, who makes both GTA and Smugglers Run, has kind of incorporated the two together. And although I'm not a huge Grand Theft Auto, I mean, like, listen, I think, like I've said, I'm a Nintendo fanboy. Like, I'm used to, like, games where you don't have to kill people. I mean, honestly, like Mario and Zelda, like, I didn't grow up on just plowing down,
or
especially
killing them by jumping on them 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just never a fan of any games where you get points for killing cops. Not that I know that. I mean, perhaps Grand Theft Auto isn't that, but I'm pretty sure it is.
It is. It's open world. It is what you want it to be.
So
if you want to just go around and drive a tank into any building you can find, you can do that.
Yeah.
Or you can find sweet launching jumps for your 18-wheelers. I mean,
so I'm not a huge fan of GTA, but the fact that they're involving Smugglers Run, like, it perks my ears up. It makes me want to check it out. So that's an update for GTA Online. And
yeah, that's kind of reminiscent of like the update they did for Red Dead Redemption back on the PS3, where they kind of made it all like is almost a completely different game. Zombies.
Oh, okay.
And I played the heck out of that whole game. So I wouldn't say I'm a big GTA fan at all, but I am definitely looking forward to the next Red Dead game. And this has piqued my interest. I did play GTA 5 for a little bit. I bought the disc. I had my fun with it. And then I moved on to something else. It was fun for a week or two for me to relive some of my youthful days of running around stealing cars and trying to get the coolest, fastest car to make a sweet launch jump. But that was about it. But this is interesting.
Just the mention of Smugglers Run is what really piqued my interest. Well, hey, moving on to our next segment, we just kind of want to talk about what's coming out this week, or honestly, what came out this week. Some things I wanted to mention was that Death Note, which is a anime series available on Netflix. Netflix actually went and made their own live action movie. That is now available on Netflix. I'm going to have to check that out. I tried out the anime. I kind of dug the premise. I haven't gotten very far into it. I want to finish it before I check out this movie. But that is available on Netflix.
I know nothing about Death Note except that I know that Willem Dafoe does a voice in this new movie, and that's enough to pique my interest.
It's cool. Death Note is kind of the premise is there is a notebook that if you write down someone's name and the time and place and how they're going to die, or if you write down those details, it will happen. And the question is, like, the moral question is, should you? And of course, the guy that finds this book decides, he's going to do it, and he's going to use it to make the world a better place. But of course, what he is doing is
murder.
It's not right, and so it's attracting attention of the police investigators. So it's kind of this balance of, all right, well, he's doing this to bad people, like they deserve it, but he shouldn't be doing it anyways. It's a real cool story. And I'm even glossing over the fact that, like, so the Death Note is a notebook of a death demon. I mean, there's this whole demon side to it that I'm really leaving out. But and I think Willem Dafoe plays that demon character.
Oh, okay, the voice of it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the anime here has a 9.0 rating on IMDb. And IMDb doesn't list a whole, you know, that rating doesn't mean a lot on IMDb.
Yeah, it's real good. I've enjoyed it. I need to finish it.
The movie,
I'm sure
4.8.
I'm sure it's terrible. I'm sure.
Now there's only 17,000 reviews on there, so you know this. But it just came out this week.
Exactly. So, the next up, something else that came out this week that I feel bad we didn't mention it last week, but the Tick was released on Amazon Prime this last week. And
Spoon.
Exactly. For those of you that remember the Tick from either its live action days or its animated days, and of course it was a comic back in the day and probably still is. The Tick was on Amazon's, you know, Amazon does a kind of a teaser. They like to try out episodes before they commit to a full season. And The Tick was one of those. And it stars Peter, I'm going to ruin his name, Serafinowicz. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Serafinowicz.
There you go, Serafinowicz.
He was also the voice of Darth Maul.
In what?
In episode 1. At last we will have revenge.
Are you serious? He was not Ray Park. He was the voice.
He was the voice.
That is wild. I didn't know
for that one line. At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
Wow, Ray Park can't catch a break, huh?
No, no, he can't.
He must be like the David Prowse of. So
yeah, like you mentioned, the pilot was made like a year ago. So, and that's kind of what they do is they'll release the pilot and then gauge its interest based on viewership. That's smart.
And they do it with a couple shows. Some make it, some don't. Well, anyways, season 1 of The Tick is now available on Amazon Prime. And I think this is fantastic with our modern superhero culture. I mean, how long has it been since we had the last Tick with David Putty? David Putty, that's a deep dig.
It was like, okay, so the cartoon was 94.
Okay, cartoon was 94, and that was on Fox, and it was weird. It was strange. You know, The Tick it's kind of a funny take on serious comic books. So
yeah, and it was fun. Like I remember, I mean, I'm familiar with The Tick only because of that.
Exactly.
Then the Patrick Warburton.
There you go.
Tick came out, I think, circa 2001,
and that was on Fox. Thanks
again,
a lot, Fox. We have.
So it was 9 episodes. So this new season is it only 6?
Yeah, I bet it's a full 13. Do you see otherwise?
I'm just looking here on Amazon and I'm only seeing 6, but there could be more.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know. 6. We'll go with 6. 6 sounds good. And a good short season that might be just what The Tick needs.
Oh yeah, I mean they're only 30-minute episodes. So no, it's 10 episodes.
Okay. Well, even then, 30 minutes. Pilot. Wow.
Yeah, they're. Now I think they've only released the first 6 though.
Okay. And that's something that everybody's doing these days is they'll make several. Yeah. They'll make a whole season. Like Wyatt was saying with Voltron on Netflix, they made that whole series at once, but they'll just like release them 4 at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, The Tick. And I just think like I said before, again, here I go spinning my own wheels. Since we're in this kind of more modern, we've gotten past, 2001 was a long time ago as far as superhero movies go. So a modern Tick sounds great. Sounds refreshing. Kenneth, what else came out this week or is coming out this week?
Well, I know that our Arnold fans out there are very interested in going to see Terminator 2 3D. Now, I believe it came out on the 25th, this last Friday. Unfortunately, I don't believe it's playing around here where I live. I would love to travel to such bigger cities as Houston to see it if it's playing there.
Yeah, now's not necessarily a good time.
Now's not the good time. But for those of you that have the opportunity to go see the 3D 4K restoration in the theater, see it for me. Interesting little side note on that is that, you know, I think this movie's been released one other time in theaters since it came out in 91 or 92. And not unlike George Lucas, James Cameron has went back in and made some changes.
Hopefully, hopefully he changed Edward Furlong's voice.
Yeah, he made it crack more.
Did he? Well,
no. Well, the movie took so long to make that he visibly aged. There's nothing you can get.
And that's what I heard. That's what I heard is that, you know, they were shooting the movie. He went from like a non-cracky voice to a cracky voice or past that. So they had to go back and crack his voice after the fact, which that's the one thing in that movie that just really stands out to me is how crackly that kid's voice is.
Well, not unlike James Cameron. George Lucas, James Cameron has now made this a special edition with one very minor change. If you remember the LA River chase scene at the beginning of the film where the T-1000 is in a big rig truck and he crashes it down the canal, chasing after John Connor on his little dirt bike. And then obviously the T-800 picks him up there and it's just this great little chase scene. Well, there's one shot when the truck goes down into the canal or the LA River right at the beginning.
Yeah, I remember that.
Of the chase scene. And in that shot, the windshield gets ripped off of the truck, like falls off.
But the T-1000 later rips it off himself, right?
And on every shot after that, it's there.
Okay,
on the truck still. So I think what they've gone and done, if logic tells me so, that they didn't go back and rip it off all the other shots, is that they just made it stay on for the shot where it falls, where it drives into the canal, which would make sense. So I think that's the only thing he changed, which God bless him, he could have changed a lot of things about this film because, CG effects have come a long way. I think this film holds up great.
And does it?
It's got a charm on it. You can see, the grain in the film, and it just feels like, an organic film about technology out to kill you, which is great.
And you could, what I love about this movie is, like you said, it still holds up. You could release this movie today. And
they did. They released it 2 days ago.
You're right. Absolutely. You could release this movie 2 days ago. And I think it would hold. I mean, I think the effects would hold up. I think the stories would hold up. It's definitely better than any Terminator that has come since. Mm-hmm. So if you can check this out.
Cross your fingers. We could be in for a treat in a couple of years.
Or just let it die.
Well, Hollywood's too big into IPs, intellectual properties, and shared universes, so this is going somewhere.
One thing I have to say about James Cameron is I actually went and saw, I think that he did a 3D conversion of Titanic. And I remember him saying that he always shot with depth in mind. Like he always composes his shots that way. So he was kind of saying that the conversion to 3D wasn't that big of a leap for him because he was always shooting kind of with, like I said,
makes sense. I love James Cameron as a filmmaker. I think that he's just, whether you like the film or not, I think that there's always something you can find in it to like, whether it's just the spectacle or how the film was made or, the acting or the story. There's something in there for you to latch onto.
Absolutely.
But I'm not going to get into some of the comments he made this week concerning Wonder Woman.
That's right. They
so
had
if our viewers or our listeners are aware that we are purposefully not talking about that because it's a hot topic right now. But anyway.
Well, hey, as we're discussing movies out this week, I want to transition into my recommendation. because something I wanted to mention before it's too late is that Cinemark is having they're having a deal this week where you can go see Marvel movies in the theaters. Go recatch Guardians of the Galaxy or Doctor Strange for $5. And that's going on until August 31st. They have a schedule up you can check out. And they've kind of have it broken down into like magical and technology and different.
Origins, cosmic.
Yeah, they have different lineups going on. So you can kind of see a couple different movies in the same vein.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
I hope it's successful because, it's not playing everywhere at every one of their theaters, but they've got a list here, and we'll put the link up with the show and hopefully it's playing in your area, listeners. But this is a great way to, like Wyatt. He never saw Doctor Strange, and he had to watch it at home on Netflix, and he ended up liking it. But I bet if we could have convinced him to go see it for $5 at a theater, he would have done it. So if you've missed any of those movies, this is a great way to catch up on them without having to see them like me on your TV with your kids playing with every toy that makes sound known to man.
Yeah, this is a great way to experience it in theaters. It's like Doctor Strange. That movie is trippy in theaters. I mean, how great would it be I would love to go see it again because when my son and I went and saw it, it was they had just converted our theaters into the reserve seats, and we showed up on a Tuesday night like 5 minutes before the movie started, and of course the only seats left were front row right in front of the screen, and we could barely see anything, but we stuck it out to see Doctor Strange. Well, Kenneth, where can people find us?
All right, Richard. Well, the Legion can email us a question if they have one at legionofdads@gmail.com. They can like us on Facebook, like and subscribe on YouTube. They can follow at Legion of Dads on Twitter, and like, subscribe, or rate to Legion of Dads on iTunes, or visit legionofdads.com.
Fantastic. And each week we like to end with what we call the last laugh, a terribly bad dad joke. So bad it's good. Kenneth, you got a joke for us this week?
I do have a terrible one. Hey, Richard.
Hey, Kenneth.
What do prisoners use to call each other?
Cell phones?
That's correct.
Oh no. All right, Legion. We'll see you next time.